Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Launched in late 2021 for the 2022 model year, this is the first ever steel 5905. At 42 millimeters in steel with a full bracelet, annual calendar, and flyback chronograph, this is also the larger spiritual successor to the late great steel 5960. So let's get a sense of how this watch wears. All in stainless steel, it's 42 in diameter, it's 14.5 millimeters thick, it's 51 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, but if we add the end links of the bracelet, 53 millimeters from end to end with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. My wrist is 16 centimeters in circumference, so we're going to take a look at this big steel full bracelet watch, and it does fit. So I would recommend that if your wrist is my size or larger, game on. If your wrist is smaller, get the steel 5960. It's a lovely piece, and the taper of the lugs really does help with the fit. It's also flat enough with a sloped concave bezel that it will slip underneath a dress cuff. So if you need this to be your dress watch, it can absolutely do that. The bracelet's fairly similar to the one you find on a bracelet-clad Aquanaut. 3 links, all massive, staggered link alignment, differential finish, differential size. We have a conforming end link to mate it all together with grace against the case flank. You can see that we have polish, we have satin, we have removable links fixed by pins and sleeves. Patek likes this because you can't strip out a screw and leave a link stranded. But if you, and that's true, but if you do want to size this at home, you're going to need a block and punch. The clasp feels like it is sufficient to the purpose. Relatively thick gauge steel, double folding, twin trigger release. You can see a facet of the Calatrava cross here. That is the logo of the company, so that's where that comes from. And when this closes, you see it yet again. Rolling back to the case, we have case flanks that are scalloped and concave, which is a really nice detail of the 5905, often missed on the internet where you tend to see this angle and nothing but. But the lugs are graceful, tapered, concave, mirrored. The side of the case is polished, so is the concave bezel, which you can see sort of visually pairs the mass of this large watch. Don't think of it as a 42 the way a Royal Oak Offshore is a 42. That's a 42 that's more like a 44 or a 45. This wears like a 42. We've got vintage-inspired rectangular pushers, and a boxed and domed sapphire. Now the dial here features a all-metal sector, so you can see these little rings inboard, as well as the overlapping white gold faceted indices. So we've got these sectors that are defined by polished metal. We've also got a metallic green sunburst base that radiates out from the center. And then we've got a sub-register that includes an azurage, or a concentric pattern. You can also see that this is a 60-minute chronograph register, a feature rarely seen on chronographs and one that I love. Also note, flyback chronograph, reset and restart without first stopping, great for timing events that occur in rapid succession. We also have a day and night indicator inside that minutes register, so you know, for example, whether it is 9 p.m. or 9 a.m. And this right here, you can see that that little dot is blue, so it is 10 p.m. So you know not to use the adjusters to adjust the annual calendar. What you want to do is you want to roll all the way through the changeover and set the watch to 6:30 in the morning before you use the pusher adjusters. Now you can safely set it, and there's no hazard if you want to use these quick setters. Taking a look, we do have an annual calendar, Patek's original innovation from 1996. They created the first annual calendar on the 5035, and we have an American-style aperture calendar, which is the most readable, with a day, date, and month. It only needs to be corrected once a year during the jump from February to March. Note that the chronograph seconds hand here has been satinated or media blasted very fine, a lovely treatment. Now the hands, the frame for the date, and the indices are all white gold because it will not tarnish or oxidize over time. It is a longer-lived material. We also have no shortage of luminescence. The watch is well loomed, and also quite water resistant. And I wouldn't normally say that for a watch rated at 30 meters, but just this year, 2024, Patek hit us over the head with the idea that all of its watches are going to be rated to a true 30 meters. Well, a true 30 meters is roughly 100 feet. So according to Patek, this watch is now water resistant to a true 30 meters. Making it more versatile than it was when it debuted back in 2021. So, depending on your perspective, this or the 5990 might be Patek's most useful watch. I suppose the 5326 might also enter the discussion. But here we have loom, steel, automatic winding, a flyback chronograph, and an annual calendar. With a green dial, sign me up. Backside, a movement well known to Patek fans, the 28520. It first debuted as Patek's first in-house automatic chrono back in 2006. Unidirectional winding with ceramic bearings for efficiency and low maintenance. It's a 55-hour power reserve, 37 pivot jewels, 4 Hz beat rate, 6-position adjustment, free-sprung Gyromax style balance with an anti-magnetic Spiromax silicone hairspring. It's got a lot to offer. It uses an unusual sort of column wheel, which you could see there. It's almost more of a flattened column wheel or a serrated cam, but it's considered a column wheel for practical purposes, and it does have the crisp feel of a column wheel. Also, we have a vertical clutch, which is important because you'll notice this is a pretty dead dial when the chrono's not running. So the vertical clutch, A, allows you to start the chrono without any seconds hand jump or stagger. Doesn't have that imprecision of a lateral clutch. And B, if you just like to have your chrono running on a full-time basis, with a vertical clutch there's no additional wear and tear, so you can have your chrono running full-time if you want a more animated dial, and this watch gives you that. The finish on the movement, well, like all Patek series production movements, it's a medley of hand finish and mechanical finish, but it does a more convincing job than many others, with the final pass, particularly on the bevels, looking like they were completed using some sort of a handheld buffing tool. And you can see right here on this little bridge adjacent to the balance how those bevels come to a point. Not easy to do, even in a artisanally crafted movement, so it is deeply impressive and honors its Patek Philippe heritage. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.